All right, what's up, everybody? That's a hot mic. That's hot, ain't it? Okay, we're gonna turn it down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. I'm starting to see why people have podcast producers to do these things. I'm a solo band here. Speaking of solo band, I look like a failed Beatle, don't I? What the hell is going on here with my face and head? Don't I look like if there was a fifth Beatle, just didn't make it? I look like the reject Beatle, like not quite cool enough. They had to sit me down and explain. I was kind of just dragging the band a little bit. They don't really need my instrument. I had to call a Beatle band meeting. So me and John, we've been talking. I think Tyler, we look what you're doing. You're really doing something unique. But we just thought, me and John, we were sitting the other day. We wrote Imagine, and Imagine, I think, was a solo John song. In fact, now I remember, I took a little acid. We were writing Yellow Submarine, and we thought, perhaps we don't need the triangle in the band. We like the triangle, it's groovy and all, but perhaps we don't need... What are you talking about? Of course you need... And I would have like a really annoying, Monty Python Cockney accent. Well, you love the triangle. Everybody loves the triangle. John, why don't you come in here and have a talk with Tyler? We respect what you're doing, but we just don't think we need you. You gotta go. You're fired. He can't. And then Donald Trump stole that catchphrase from the Beatles, and then the Beatles sued Trump for that. I don't know if you guys know that. It's a documentary that's out. The Trump Beatles documentary. Would you shut up? All right. You can't see me yet because this isn't out until tomorrow, but if you're watching it tomorrow, then you know what I'm talking about. I am recording from my bed today. I'm in bed, live. We'll do it live. Hey, Fred, why don't you come up here, pup? Come here, sweetie. Come here, pup. Oh, yeah. Come here, love. Come here, pup. Up here, Fred. Oh. So I had to deal with myself today. I didn't really feel like participating in, this thing we call life. I wanted to just sit it out today. I've had enough of the lockdowns. And I said, you know what? If I could do the podcast in bed, pants off, dog on my lap, I'll do it with a cup of coffee. That was my negotiation. I'm learning to just not fight learning when to fight, challenge my, my brain, and when to give into it. Self-parenting. Learning how to parent myself. When to suck it up and go, dude, just fucking do it. Do the podcast. And when to go, all right, get in bed. Do it from bed. So that was my deal, and that's the deal. It was either I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to do it with my pants off in bed. Because I woke up this morning, and I was all ready to do the podcast. I don't like when people call it pods. Heard you're doing a new pod, dude. You got a new pod out? What's your pod called, dude? It's a podcast. And I sit down to the podcast. I get a text message from my roommate who lives above where I record the podcast in my studio. And she informed me that we have, how did she put it? Raccoons in the wall. And in the ceiling. And you might be able to hear them. So every time I'd go to record the podcast, people would be banging on the wall. We share a wall with our neighbor. It's an old house I live in. It's like 120 years old. And we have raccoons living in the fucking wall, Jerry. And I just had it, man. I just was like, I'm done with this fucking city. Do you understand how much of an absolute shithole New York City has become? When raccoons can't even handle how much garbage is on the street outside? That's like their shit. That's their jam. Raccoons live for garbage. And even the raccoons, I almost said a shorter version of that. Don't do that. I've done it before by accident because I didn't know that it was a bad thing about a racial thing, but I learned my lesson. I'm already starting to talk like Mark Norman because we spoke for so long. And anyways, we have raccoons in the fucking wall, and they've had it. Even raccoons have had it with New York. They're like, you know what? We love garbage, but this is a little too much for us. So we're going to go fucking live in Tyler's wall. That's when you know the city's done. And I know billionaires like Seinfeld think, it's not dead, New York's not dead, it's still the greatest city in the world, and you don't know what you're talking about. Well, Jer, when you have a helicopter and you can leave New York when shit hits the fan and go back to your mansion, then I don't know, man. And I'm not rich shaming him. He earned the fucking money. I'm not rich shaming him at all. But I'm saying, unless you live here full time, I don't think you really get to have an opinion on it. Well, you do, because I like free speech, but you know what I'm talking about. Just shut up. So it was a rough morning of raccoon hunting, and the landlord's coming into the house. Everyone's banging on the wall. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I just can't do this city anymore. It's been a year. But how fun was Mark? If anyone's here from my interview with Mark Norman, welcome. Happy to have you. I think Mark has some of the best fans in all of comedy. And I mean that. Just fun, positive, silly, good people. Good people, you know. A lot of Antifa, but otherwise pretty good. And I just love Mark. And if you know, I'll just say this about Mark. If you've never met him after a show or something, he's a good egg. He's a good guy. And I love surrounding myself with people in this business who are also good people, because you meet a lot of assholes. So just throwing that out there. If you want to know what Mark's like as a non-comedian off stage, he's an awesome guy. The guy's shown me nothing but respect for 12 years. You know, and I was a nobody. I was an open micer when I started, and Mark was already doing, you know, the late night shows and stuff. He didn't have to pay me any mind or anybody, but he treats everybody with respect. And that doesn't mean he can't be assertive, and like if he's working, he's at work. He can't give his attention to everybody, but he's respectful enough to you know, give you a moment, say hello, and then he's off to another show. And he's a great guy. And he's got a great voice, too. I'm jealous of his voice. He has one of the best voices in all of stand-up comedy. And as you know, I'm trying to find my voice. I'm trying to find my, hey, fella, my Jim Gaffigan thing. He's got the thing. Or, you know what bothers me? I'm trying to find my what bothers me. And you guys are along the journey with me. If you have any recommendations, you hear a voice, you think that could be it. Because I can't, I'm too neutral. I got to find a Stephen Wright thing, you know, something fun. And Mark has that kind of like 1950s radio voice, you know. Hey, comedy. Oh, you queefs. Oh, I love you, fatties. I love it. Not making fun of him. I love it. And I'm going to work on an impression of him, whether he wants me to or not, because when a voice gets in my head, that's it. When it gets in there, I have to get it down. It's like a disorder I have. If I hear a fun voice, I obsess about it. And he's had one of those voices that's always been in my head. Hey, all right, comedy. It's just fun. It's just fun. So when I shave the beard, I'll buy the, I almost said Jewy wig. He's not a Jew. I think of him as a Jew. He's so close to, I mean, he just feels like a Jew. Everything about him in a good way, in a good comedy way. He's funny, he's quick, he's witty. But I don't think he's a Jew. So So he was great, and we talked about a lot of stuff. We got deep. I'm thinking about sort of diving into some of the things we talked about, because I've gotten some messages. By the way, any positive feedback I've gotten on the podcast, I really appreciate it, because this is really, this is a bit of an experiment for me, talking at length. I used to do an hour a year, maybe every 2 years I'd have an hour of stuff to say, and now doing almost an hour every week is a bit of I'm a little shell-shocked. So I appreciate any of the feedback, and whatever. Tell me what you want. This is like a very fluid. This is like a very Brooklyn relationship. It's just fluid. There's no labels. Just I've just riddled in fucking fluidity right now. So whatever you want to do. So we talked about we talked about therapy. We talked about EMDR. I've got some people I think said that they did it themselves. So I want to look into that. You can maybe do EMDR on yourself for when you don't have a therapist. But, I want to talk a little bit about success, defining your own success, because Mark and Sal and a lot of people, as I mentioned, will say, why aren't you X, Y, and Z? Why aren't you on this show? Why aren't you on SNL? Why aren't you more successful? And first of all, anyone like that who I love and respect, I've been looking up to those guys for a long time. Even the fact that they are asking why I'm not on these shows, to me, is already a huge win. The fact that people even think I'm eligible to be on such shows is... even that alone is mind-blowing to me, growing up watching those TV shows. So it's not, again, it doesn't necessarily bother me when people ask it, but it's very important that you define your own success, because that sort of thing can take on a life of its own. And it's important to parse out, distinguish your success versus this sort of group success, the force of what the success is in the industry that people want you to have. And I say that to save you some time, because I was going after what people wanted me to do. What I want to do is this. I want to have a podcast. I want to figure out who the fuck I am. That's part of this journey, is we need to be able to have more. That's why I love podcasts, and I've been afraid of them, because there's a lot of vulnerability in them. But you have to be able to have lengthy conversations, and you have to figure out who you are. We're living in an era of sound bites and short tweets and short answers and cancellation. And I love the idea of being able to have these long form conversations, start to figure, I don't know who I am, is what I'm saying. I don't know. I have never had values. I've never had boundaries until I started therapy 3 years ago. So I need to figure out who I am, and I'd rather go through this painstaking long process and figure out who I am than get catapulted to the moon on a show like SNL. And I really mean that. And I'm not saying that just because I've never gotten an audition for it. I'm saying it because that's what's more important to me, is figuring out, what do I stand for? What are my values? What do I want in life? What are my boundaries? When you're just, and I see it happen a lot, and I think I'm almost lucky in that way, that I got to see friends, literally. That's the crazy thing about stand-up. You have people that are just in your circle, in your scene. It's very small, open mics, small clubs, and then they just get catapulted to the moon. And I'm not, of course, anyone would say yes to that. Hey, you want your own show, you want this or that. But there's a risk of really missing out on the exploration years of figuring out who you are and what your sense of humor is. And this is scary to me, because I've always tried to make friends and impress people from having a prepared joke And I'm not going to do that here. So it's I'm going to have some growing pains. And I do want to say this though I watched, what's his name, Chris D'Elia had some controversial things happen recently, and I'm not going to speak to them because I'm not knowledgeable on exactly what happened. As far as I know, he was talking to some young gals on Twitter. I think he found out how young they were and he stopped talking to them. I could be wrong, so I don't want to speak to that. I'll speak to what I saw today, which was he came and he gave an apology for basically having consensual sex. And I thought, what a misstep that was. Because he apologized for cheating on his wife, which is good, obviously. And he's going to pay the price for that, I'm sure, for years to come. No, he's a fiance. Cheated on his fiance. But this part I did not agree with. Him apologizing for having consensual sex with adults who wanted to have sex with him. That is a slippery slope. Because now we're setting a precedent that if you're an adult, if you have fame or not, and you have sex, and you have any sort of celebrity or money or power, whatever you want to say, you need to apologize for having sex with people who want to have sex with you. The guy's fucking attractive, and he's famous, and his fans write him messages after the show, and occasionally he meets up with them. They have sex. I'm sure that made the fucking girl's week, month, if not year, if not life. Because who wouldn't do that? Imagine you meet a celebrity that you like, and you run into, well, you're at the bar. Let's say you're at the bar. Who's there? Right there. Who's there? Who is it? Was it Gwen Stefani or is it Beyonce? This is your fantasy. Whoever you want. I don't know celebrities very well, so those are the only two that came to mind. You see Beyonce. She turns around. You know, you go, hey, Beyonce, say, Beyonce, love your work. She's, oh, thank you so much. I think you're pretty cute. Do you want to come up to my hotel room? You go, yeah, sure. And then you have sex with her. Does she owe the world an apology for that? No, she just made your fucking year. Probably your life. Let's say you're just a regular old fucking Lola. You're a coal miner or something. No, nothing against coal mining. They have jobs and I don't. But I just thought this is my point. If I ever look into this camera or talking to this microphone one day and I apologize for having consensual sex with adults, please stop watching me. Stop following me. Stop being my patron. Stop coming to shows. Please. If I become that much of a pussy where I have consensual sex with a person, even if it's after a show or someone you meet at a bar, you hit it off, you go ahead. There's too many contradictions now. Everyone's, we're all sex positive and body positive, and you don't want to kink shame or poly shame, and everyone has 45 partners of all different shapes, sizes, breeds, colors, sexualities, genders. That's okay, but he can't have sex with somebody? Well, he can. He chose to apologize. I'm just saying, I think we're going too far. I've done it. Maybe that's why I'm talking about it. I've had a girl, maybe twice in my life, where after a show, a woman comes up to me and I'm not famous by any means, by all means. I do shows for like 70 people, maybe, on a good night. And I've had women come up and say, hey, I think you're attractive. You're really funny. And I heard that joke about you being single, which is pretty much most of your act. You want to fuck? What? That shit blew my mind. And we fucked. We had consensual sex. So if 10 years from now, I apologize for that, please, just throw me to the curb. I beg you. I beg you. He should not have apologized for that. He should have apologized for everything else. If he was talking to minors and he knew it, apology. Cheating on his fiance, apology. Having sex after a show, give me a break, dude. And my point is, this is really my point. I think I look enough like Chris D'Elia. He's definitely way more attractive to me. My point is, if he wants to really double down on the pussiness here and just take a seat and give up his career, I would be happy to fill in for him. I can learn his demeanor. I'll learn his voice. I'll take over his podcast. At this point, if you said, hey, Tyler, do you want to risk it for another 10 years and try to have a really big career and become famous? Or do you want to take over for Chris D'Elia right now? You get his salary, you get his shows, you get his podcast, but you have to be him, talk like him, act like him, do his jokes. I would take that. So that's my offer to Chris D'Elia if he's watching. And I know he is because he's fucking obsessed with me. He's obsessed with his podcast. Half the views are Chris D'Elia. I don't know if you know that. Oh, the guy's obsessed. He every day, hey, can I come on the podcast, dude? Come on. Can I come make an apology on the... And I go, no, dude, you're not coming on my podcast to apologize, Chris. But if you want to give up your life and take a fucking seat for having all this consensual, casual sex, I will take over for you. And that's so I would do that. The guy's got to be making $1 million a year. So I'll take that. Stick to the script, Tyler. Oh, I was supposed to read a fucking God damn it. I told you guys to submit a Subway story for me, and so why don't I just do that right now? Somebody emailed me. I put up a Subway joke, and the Subway is basically a homeless shelter now, and it's absolutely disgusting. So I asked everybody, if you've lived in New York, if you've ever been to New York, to go ahead and send me your most horrific Subway stories. And somebody was gracious enough to send me an email with their story, so we're going to go ahead and read that right now. The other ones from Instagram, I'm sorry if I can't read them because my phone is filming this podcast, but I will mention, give one shout out to somebody who just DM'd me and said, I once pooped my pants on the subway. So yeah, that's pretty bad, but it's an absolute shit show down there. The thing closes at like 11 p.m., so if you're in the city, you just get stuck. You know what we should do? Fucking Bill de Blasio, piece of shit. You know, the only hope I think we have for New York City right now, the only thing we're holding on to unify us and get us through is the mutual, consensual fucking hatred of that guy in New York City. I think if there's one thing that's going to get us through this, it's that. And you know what else I think? I think Bill de Blasio should spend the rest of his fucking term, or however long he's here, which feels like an eternity, and he should respond to everyone's phone call when they say, hey, I got raccoons in my wall. Bill de Blasio should personally have to come to your house and hunt the raccoons and scoop them out of the wall, or however you get a raccoon out of a wall. That's what he should do. He should do that. He should do the plumbing. He should have to fucking come break up with your girlfriend because you want to kill each other because you've been stuck in their fucking studio apartment for a year. He should have to do all the dirty work until he's out of this place. That piece of shit. This is really long. Holy cow. This is from Arthur. Should I just read the whole thing? I don't know. All right, we'll just read it. Maybe I should read it in a funny voice. Should I read it as Bill Burr, at least? Yeah, that's what we'll do. All right. From now on, if you guys send me awful stories, I will read the story in Bill Burr's voice to make it palatable, because I'm too self-conscious to read this length of an email. All right. Who's this fucking guy? Arthur. Jesus Christ. He sent me a goddamn novel. What the fuck? One Easter Sunday evening in 2014... I was coming back from a get-together with a friend. I was accompanied by my partner, and I'll admit, we were a little intoxicated. Huh? You hitting the fucking bottle, old Arthur? Fucking brutal. I had this little Fujifilm Instax camera in my hand, and we stepped onto the L platform on Bedford Avenue. Fucking Bedford, goddamn. I am so sick of that fucking L train, right? No, it's like getting on a fucking train in the Holocaust. They got some guy with a goddamn broom shoveling you in. No, it's too fucking crowded. Right? Everybody wants to live off the fucking L train. You notice that? They just want to be cool. I just want to live off the L train, right? I feel like in 10 years, the fucking L train's just going to go cross country, right? Just so people can say they live off the L. Yeah, I live off the Wilmington, Delaware stop. It's only 4 hours door to door. Yeah, I live in the fucking Chicago, Illinois stop. You know, it ain't bad. It's just fucking 19 hours door to door. Fucking brutal. They got a fucking... It's like a nightclub, right? They got a bouncer on there. They got to make sure... Excuse me. Hey, man. Hey, you can't get on that L train. Your pants aren't tight enough. I'm sorry. You got to look more like you're coming from a fucking Woody Allen lookalike contest. We're full, man. I'm sorry, dude. You got to get out of here. Find yourself somebody that looks like... We need some more women here. Go find you 2 chicks that look like Diane Keaton, and maybe we'll fucking let you go off get to the Montrose stop. Anyways. So the guy's fucking drunk, and station was overcrowded. Train was about to roll in. And she goes, all right, hurry up. Hurry up. Fucking door's closing. So I walk briskly towards the sound of the drums and the amplification. Because he hears a bunch of music and he's walking over to it. At first, I hadn't realized who had been busking on that station platform. I was standing directly in front of the busker, 6 feet away when I placed the camera. Reticle something, I don't know what the fuck that says. I placed the fucking camera directly above my glasses. Peering through the lens, I could see some more detail about my subject. Alright, so I guess he's walking up to the guy to take a picture. It wasn't who I'd expected at all. The busker, who had threatened to end my life, was now cognizant of my existence. I squeezed down on the shutter release button and I felt my neck seizing up. I realized my finger from the shutter release and grasped the camera tightly in my fist. I felt my body begin to lift up, pressed against a column. This fucking guy's got him choked against the column because he goes to take a picture. The busker, who I had previously had a disagreement with, who threatened my life over a territorial dispute, who physically assaulted me, who intimidated me in front of the booth worker, who refused to call the police, now had me pressed up against a column on Bedford Ave, held up only by my neck, and was beginning to squeeze harder. My immediate response was to kick my legs out, ensuring that each blow would land on his groin. Jesus Christ. Hoping the pain would deter him. However, this only seemed to aggravate him as his smirk morphed quickly into agitation. So I did the only thing I could do. I smashed the camera on his head. Holy shit. Once, twice, 3 times. The batteries went flying out of the mini camera. Still insufficient. I kept at it with my camera hand, my other hand grasping his hand on my neck, and managed to get him to drop me. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna skip like 8 paragraphs. He's a real fucking Shakespeare right here. Alright. I'm just gonna skip like 8 paragraphs and see how this ends up. Yada yada yada. The charges were eventually dropped before I had even gone to trial. Holy shit, we skipped a lot, but we don't have time. The police officers who had taken my camera in for evidence also failed to return my camera. Those fucking pigs. It wasn't even a matter of calling. The detective insisted it was evidence and went into the evidence. And it wasn't evidence. Nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. I was talking about. Thanks, MTA, for being such a clusterfuck and allowing this story to breathe. This message is from Arthur Manuel, a.k.a. your fan from Lucky Jack's. Oh my god, Lucky Jack's open mic. Holy cow. That was one of the places me and Mark used to go and work out. It's an open mic. Lucky Jack's on the Lower East Side. If you want to know what it's like, Great story, by the way. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of it. It's very, very long, but I have abandonment issues. I thought people are going to start logging off and they're going to stop watching. And that's for me to talk about in therapy tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. So Lucky Jack's is where we would go. In fact, I lost a lot of the hearing in my left ear from Lucky Jack's. And I was such a useless piece of shit about 8 years ago and didn't know how to take care of myself, so I never went to the doctor, and now I can hardly hear out of my left ear because I stood too close to the fucking amplifier at Lucky Jack's. It exploded from the feedback and blew my eardrum, and I didn't go to the doctors because we don't know how to take care of ourselves in the Fischer family. That's right. So... Cuomo. Let's get to that fucking douchebag. Cuomo. No Cuomo. What's going on with him? Hey, I warned everybody. Oh no, he's good. He's a good guy. He's bringing me a lot of comfort during this difficult time with his 4-hour press conferences. I warned everybody. When the guy went off to write a fucking book about how good he was doing during a pandemic while the pandemic is still happening with no end in sight, the alarm bells should have gone off, but nobody was calling him out. Well, maybe Fox News was. If you're in a relationship that's failing, that's dying, and instead of going to therapy, your partner goes, you know what? I'm going to go spend a few weeks up in a cabin upstate New York, and I'm going to write a book about how good I am at being in relationships. You'd be like, well, you're a psychopath. That's exactly what Cuomo did. He wins an Emmy, and now, turns out he's been threatening people for years, and nobody came forth about it. He just threatened this guy. I forget who he is, Asian guy. Threatened his career, his wife's crying, everything, screaming at him for 10 minutes. De Blasio comes out and throws him under the bus. He goes, yeah, we've known he's been a shithead for years. He threatens everybody. We have all known that. It's like, obviously de Blasio's just trying to, put his shit under the rug and pull attention to Cuomo. But I don't know if you guys saw this, but I have a video, well, it's audio, that just leaked of Cuomo actually threatening somebody on a phone call. So I'm going to play that right now. This is Cuomo threatening somebody's life on a phone call. Let's see if he should still keep that Emmy.
Do you know who you're talking to?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you don't do exactly what I say, you're going to pay a price.
Are you threatening me?
No, of course not. But if you don't give me what I want, you'll be swimming with the fishes.
Jesus.
Are you going to deliver?
Yes.
Quickly?
Yes.
Repeat it back. What do I want?
You want 2 large pizzas, 1 half sausage, half onion, and 1 plain with red pepper flakes.
Good. And like I said, if you don't deliver on time, you're going to pay a price.
Yes, $15 late fee if it's not delivered within 30 minutes.
Correct. And I'll also have your grandparents murdered. Capiche?
Capiche.
Oh, and I'll also take a Diet Cola.
So that was obviously me when I was delivering pizzas. Speaking of delivering pizzas, I'm trying to stop watching pornography. I'm going to be 34 years old by the time my next podcast comes out, and one of my presents to myself, because I'm trying something new, besides getting myself an actual present, I'm doing a lifestyle behavioral change present for myself. I did it for Christmas. I did it for New Year's. And so this year for my birthday, one of my gifts to myself is I'm going to stop watching porn because it's terrible. It's back to the consent, casual sex issue that I was speaking of before. I don't think we should be able to have a public discussion about consent, about sex, without talking about pornography and what it's doing to children's heads. I started watching porn when I was 10 years old. Fucking 10 years old. Instead of going to the football games and hanging out with my pals, I'm in my attic, J and my D to some P. Jerking my dick to some porn. And we're too shy as a culture to talk about it. Only in Europe can they be open about this shit. We're never going to solve any of it. Everyone has a different idea of what consent is and what's okay and what's not okay. And this porn thing just really throws a wrench in everything. I had to stop it. I had to stop watching it. And I'll tell you why. Because I was so addicted to pornography, it was ruining my relationships. Because I wanted to act out everything that I saw in the pornography, which isn't realistic. And my last girlfriend broke up with me because of that. She couldn't take it anymore. Because I was not able to, for lack of better terms, get an erection when we were having sex unless we had a pizza delivered. And it started to create some really big problems because she's like, babe, we can't afford to keep having pizzas delivered, and it's uncomfortable. They come in and and you're trying to get them to jump in bed with us, and it's very, these are teenagers, they're pizza delivery guys or girls, and it's getting very uncomfortable. So she broke up with me, and I'm just trying to do everything I see in porn. I'm trying to do in the relationship. I'm out skimming my mom's friends' pools, just waiting to have sex, and none of that ever happened. So I had to stop. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to quit for my 34th birthday. I said I want to wake up when I'm 34 and not be thinking about the weird porn that I watched the night before. So I don't know. You guys want to do? You guys want to do like a accountability thing? We do it together. If there's anybody watching who wants to cut the P out of their D. Sorry, somebody just walked into my house and now I'm very self-conscious. Because I'm recording this in my bedroom. And I have studio lights set up and I have a clear glass window in my bedroom. It'd be very uncomfortable. I see now it looks like I'm fucking filming porn in my bedroom. That's great. They're only going to see the lights in the camera facing my bed. This is great. Like, I'm sweating right now. I am absolutely sweating. Yeah. The fucking raccoon hunter's here, and he's like, okay, well, they're filming porn, and is this a good time? Maybe I get him in here. Oh, God. Okay, I think we're in the clear. Are you still listening to this? Is anyone still listening to this? The abandonment's coming in. So what else did we talk about? Yeah. You know what I wonder is like, well, first of all, I hope the world opens up again soon. I think enough of this shit. You know what they should do? If they're going to put the fucking death toll, the death clicker or ticker, the number of deaths to just terrify you, they should also put the number of people who recovered and survived. I think that would be fair. That would be fair. Oh, look how many people died. Well, look how many people survived. And how old were they? What age range? All that shit should be on there. They're just terrifying us. When I had COVID, man, last March, I was glued to that death ticker, and I'm sure it kept me sick for an extra like month because I was obsessed with it. But I think about all the businesses that have thrived, that like would have never, would have never made it, or like, there's so many entrepreneurs that are coming up with businesses constantly. I wonder if anything happened like the GameStop thing where somebody started a business and they're looking for investors and all these people passed on it because it sounded ridiculous, Some guy starting up a business and he's like, calls up his friend. He's like, bro, look, I know this sounds crazy. I'm starting a business, okay? And I'm going to sell 3 products. It's just gonna be simple, right? Just back to basics. And I'm only gonna be making and distributing ventilators, masks, and hand sanitizer. And bro, you want to go half with me? What are you, smoking crack? No, I don't want any part of that. And then 2 months later, he's going, I should have bid on that ventilator, mask, hand sanitizer company. Somebody else, Kev, look, this might sound weird, okay? But I'm taking everything I have from my years working on Wall Street. I got $300 million. I'm starting a company. It's going to be a sign company. I'm just making signs, keeping it simple. Okay, what do the signs say? Bear with me. The signs say, please keep 6 feet apart. Get the fuck out of here. I'm telling you, it's niche, but I think there's a market for it. Go fuck yourself. I'm telling you, man, I'll put in the 300 million. Even if you just put in 100 million, I think we can get this thing off the ground and we could distribute these worldwide. No, dude. Are there any other signs? Are we making any other signs? There's 2 other signs. There's the 6 feet apart. What are they? Okay, we'll be making signs that say keep 6 feet apart, and then signs that say recall Gavin Newsom and impeach Cuomo. Nah, dude, I'm going to pass. What an idiot. I mean, he would have made a lot of money. A lot of fucking money. Hey, this is a good time to talk about it because I'm quite lifeless on this podcast today. I did my sleep study, and it was one of the worst nights of my life because I'm on Medicaid, and the sleepover place. So I have all these sleep issues. I wake up, I sleepwalk, I get knives. Maybe you heard that podcast. It's an absolute disaster. Oh, also, not to mention, when I was talking about finding my mother trying to kill herself 3 years ago, I developed this additional sleep issue, which was I would wake up having nightmares thinking that I needed to save my mom's life, and I would run to the closet and start ripping clothes down from the fucking hangers thinking that my mom was hanging herself in the closet. This is really nice, lighthearted stuff for a Monday evening, right? So on top of the sleepwalking, the night terrors, the apparently sleep apnea that they said I do have, I was trying to nightly save my mother thinking she was a cardigan hanging in my fucking closet. So I also was very nervous about having a lady sleepover, even though I'm so sorry for the nights that I had consensual casual sex with an adult woman who also wanted to have consensual casual sex. And I apologize for that. And I'm just so sorry about that we just wanted to feel good, touch each other's genitals. And I would be terrified about letting them sleep over because I was worried that I would wake up thinking my fucking dead mom or like half dead mom was in bed and me trying to give them mouth to mouth. So like, think about having to explain that to somebody before you go to bed. Hey, I had a great time tonight. Look, if you want to sleep over, just a heads up. I'd say somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m. I will be waking up screaming. I will confuse you for my mom, who I think is overdosing on pills, trying to kill herself, and I'll try to revive you. So this will only last like 20 or 30 minutes. So if you don't mind that, you can sleep over. Otherwise, I can call you an Uber. Which would you prefer? So, I have sleep apnea, apparently. And I go to this sleep place in Canarsie, Brooklyn. If you don't know what Canarsie, Brooklyn is, I don't know how to describe it other than a shithole. A shitty hole. A hole filled with shit. And it's like on your way to JFK Airport. I'm almost convinced that they built Canarsie just to make JFK Airport seem nicer. They're like, if we build this piece of shit neighborhood and people have to drive through it, by the time they get to JFK, they go, oh, this isn't so bad. JFK is not so bad. It's just, it feels like a third world country a little bit. So that's where my sleep study facility was. So I get off in Canarsie. The place looks like a jail. It's covered in bars because there's definitely homeless people all over the place that try to break in because they know there's beds in there. And the woman that worked there told me that. So I get in this fucking weird place, man, and there's like other people sleeping in rooms, and you can like see the doors cracked. Everybody's covered in wires. They hook you up like your entire body to all these wires. These are people who already can't sleep. The bed is like a fucking rock. I've never felt a harder bed in my entire life. I literally was like, how am I going to sleep on this? How the fuck are you going to be able to get an accurate read on my sleep, sleeping on a rock, wired up? They wire up every inch of your face. It took an hour. It took almost an hour just to get wired up under your eyes. They want to know, like, if your eye twitches or, like, you know, on your legs, if you got the Jimmy legs, all this shit. There's just wires. There's wires on your balls, or like maybe you have restless ball syndrome, and maybe that's why you wake up at night, or you know, you've got fucking perpetual boner syndrome, and we need to have a wire to see if you get hard in the middle of the night, or you know, if you got tight butt cheek syndrome, maybe you clench too hard at night, and they wire me up. I'm about to go to sleep. She goes, why don't you put the TV on? I don't know what accent that was. Do you want to put the TV on? Maybe she's Irish. I don't know. She puts the TV on. I go, no, don't put the TV on. I'm trying to go to sleep. And she just walks out. So you fucking huge flat screen TV. She puts the TV on and you're all wired up. So you have to move this pile of wires to move like an inch. So I finally hit the TV off. It is 78 degrees in the room. Thermostat's broken. I'm covered in sweatpants that I can't take off because all the wires are going over the sweatpants. Can't take anything off. She goes, by the way, if you have to pee, you got to ring a little bell. I got to come out and like unstrap you. Then, middle of the night, the homeless people start buzzing the fucking thing. They're buzzing at the front door. There's homeless people trying to get in. I shit you not. And she told me this before I went to bed. She goes, by the way, if you hear any buzzing, we don't go to the door. We don't. I said, what if people come late? She goes, well, they don't, people have to be here by 11, but also people do come and buzz the door and we don't let them in. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, it's a dangerous neighborhood. My car was robbed last week. I'm not making this up. She said this is what she said right before she put me to bed, covered in fucking electric wires. She goes, it's a dangerous neighborhood. My car was robbed. Ignore the buzzing all night. Good night. Do you want the TV on? So criminals or homeless people are buzzing all night. Then in the middle of the night, it dawns on me, oh yeah, everybody has fucking sleep apnea or some kind of sleep disorder. So there's people sleepwalking. There's people moaning, fucking unbelievably loud snoring, because one symptom of sleep apnea is snoring. So there's a guy I could hear through my wall. Then a guy starts pissing in my bathroom. This was, I repeat, this was one of the worst nights of my life. I've had some rough nights. This was a true testament to my will as a human being to get through anything. I go, all right, you're going to find out what you're capable of, because I'm strapped in, wired up, and I'm trying to get to sleep so I could figure out what's ruining my life so they can get some sort of accurate depiction of a real night's sleep for me. This is not a real night's sleep. This is a scheme. This is a fucking scheme to keep you awake all night, jumping up, scared, terrified, so that your fucking heart rate is going. You know, they're keeping track of all these numbers so they can show, oh, look at that. Well, you woke up 7,000 times last night. Oh, you started screaming. Oh, you jumped out of bed. Yeah, because I'm in One Flew Over the fucking Cuckoo's Nest with my door not locked. People sleepwalk. Somebody was sleepwalk. They came into my bathroom and started pissing at 3 a.m. Toilet is like 8 feet from my head. My door is open. So there's a guy pissing in my he slept walk and ended up in my room, and he's pissing 8 feet from my head, and I'm just sitting there going, I can't get up because I'm covered in wires. I'm going to rip my fucking nipples off if I move an inch. And I'm just thinking, like, you know, those suicide nightmares were way better than this. I'd kill to go back to those days. And then they wake you up at 6 a.m. This thing ends at 6 a.m. I never fell asleep. I slept maybe for 40 minutes in the beginning, and then the fucking zombies, sleep people, started just crawling around this facility. And I don't know if I have any answers or not. And that's why I'm recording this podcast in bed. Because I haven't slept in 33 years. So, speaking of, my birthday is Sunday, and I'm going to be doing I'm really resisting apologizing to everyone right now. Oh my God. I'm not going to apologize. I'll tell you why I want to apologize. I won't actually apologize, but I want to apologize for feeling like that was not a good show. How ridiculous. This is why I haven't done a podcast. I started a podcast 4 times over the course of the last few years. And I was like, I can't do it. I must fight this. Fight the apology, man. We need to stop apologizing for stuff that we shouldn't be apologizing for. And this is a perfect example. I know it's a little different than trying to fuck a 17-year-old or whatever he did. But again, I'll just say it one more time. Crystalia, if you're watching, and I know you are because you're obsessed with me, and it's getting weird, and like, get out of my DMs, bro. Him and Bill Burr every week. We just want to come on your podcast, dude. Come on, let me on. And it's like, you're not coming on, dude. Sebastian Maniscalco every week. You know, I just want to come on the podcast. I'm a big fan of yours. I love how you do these nonsensical rambles in your bed. I'm thinking about starting a podcast. It'll be Bill Burr, Sebastian Maniscalco, maybe Seinfeld, maybe Bert Kreischer. And it's just going to be called My Wife, the podcast. And they're just all going to sit around complaining about their wife. I think that's something I'm going to start working on. So, I'll turn 34 on, and I'm not sorry for this podcast at all. Like, you can go fuck yourself if you didn't like it. How about that? I'll overcompensate for the apologize and say it's your fault for even watching this. But this will be on YouTube tomorrow. It'll be on Patreon first. Patreon.com/Tyler Talks. And by the way, that subscription, which is whatever you want to pay, and this is whatever you guys pay, that's how much I get paid to do comedy. I love that. It's in your hands now. I know me and Mark talked about the success thing, and I said, oh, I didn't get this or that because they didn't want a white guy. So all that stuff, even though it was awful, right? And people like, you shouldn't talk about being white and how you were fired for it, and don't talk about that. I'm going to talk about it. Whenever it happens, I'm going to talk about it. But this whole podcast is an antidote to that. That's what I'm doing to combat the resentment. I'm just working on becoming funnier, working on starting my own stuff. But whatever I make, you guys decide how much I get paid for it. And that's Patreon. You can literally go on and see the exact dollar amount I get for making the podcast, making the videos, and doing my Zoom show. So if you subscribe, I would be very excited because that's my paycheck for the show and everything else I do. And I want to reward you because I'm indebted and grateful. So you get my monthly comedy show. The next one will be on this Friday, February 26th, I think. It'll be my birthday show, 8:30 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. So patreon.com/Tyler Talks. Podcast is always up. The video is always up first for patrons. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great week. Do something nice for yourselves. And I'll see you next Monday. Or I'll see you on Friday at the show.